right, I'm live. Well, welcome guys to our first ever time doing this webinar live like this. So sorry for any confusion. We're trying to work out the kinks on our end. But anyway, we're excited just to be able to bring to you today just the virtual home buying process. Obviously, we're in a unique time right now. And so I just wanted to share with you kind of how we're going about our process and how if you are looking to buy or sell a home here in the next, well, who knows, 4 weeks to 8 weeks to 3 to 4 months from now, who knows how long it's going to play out. But anyway, I just want to be able to provide you some resources and be a resource to you on that. And so anyway, we're going to jump into it. I got Matthew Carmody here with Land Home Financial. He's a great resource and he's going to jump in here throughout this as well. Just going to, talk about lending changes and stuff like that. But sorry, let me, trying to find these. All right, am I good? All right. And thanks to Jamie for setting all this up and helping us out while we do this. But anyway, so the virtual home buying process, obviously right now is a time period where we're going through something that nobody has ever gone through. And so what does this mean for home buying is a big thing. And are we still able to buy homes during this time? So right now, on March 28th, actually they deemed us real estate in Iowa anyway, an essential business. So as of right now, we are still able to actually go out and show homes. We're able to still sell and still operate almost as normal gets in this time period. And so obviously we are taking extreme precautions when showing homes, going into people's homes with sanitizer, Lysol wipes, gloves, masks, all that kind of stuff, anything that we can do to help prevent the spread of this. But we also realize that some people have to move. And so I have clients who are moving here from St. Louis, and we have clients that are, need to move, need to sell their home. And right now is a good time for them to do it. And so we want to make sure that we can make that happen. And we are fortunate in some other states, there actually are not, they aren't allowing any showings or any real estate activity to go on right now, so being here, we're very lucky that we had quite a few pendings that were scheduled to close during this time. And so far, knock on wood, we've been able to make those happen through different avenues anyways, but we've been able to make those happen. So that's kind of, where we're at. The governor is still allowing us at this time to still move about our business like we are. But who knows, that can all change in a blink of an eye, as we all know now. But so going on next. So this is kind of an outline of what we'll be talking about today. So the first thing will just be kind of how to buy a home and virtually. So we'll go through kind of the different steps of 1, just buying a home in general, and then 2, how that looks right now, and then moving forward till who knows when. But anyway, so we'll go through, virtual consultation. So first thing we'll hit on is just pretty much this. So I've been doing virtual consultations with folks, buyers, sellers, just touching base with them through Zoom. I mean, you can almost be just as efficient this way as you can in person. Obviously, we prefer in person, but we can't do that necessarily. So, virtual consultation, going through the buyer guides, which I'll throw up here at the end, and we'll email that out to you guys if you want it. Just drop us a comment below, and we'll get you with your email, and we can send you the buyer buyer guide that we typically go through in a consultation. But we go through that, and then there's online pre-approval, digital home search, virtual property tours, and you can read the rest there. But so we're going to break those down, and then we're going to talk about the market of the moment, kind of what is going on in the marketplace, what does that mean now moving forward. Matt's going to just outline kind of the lending side of things, what that looks like right now, and what to prepare for when we come out of this deal too. So that's kind of what we'll be hitting on today. So hopefully you guys find some useful information on this. Definitely there are chat boxes. You can chat in here, ask questions, and then if you're on the live feed too, Jamie, I think will be watching those. So if you have questions, definitely throw them in there too, and we'll hit on those as we go and at the end there too. So yeah, we'll get started. So well, I guess going back first, so we already kind of went on the virtual consultation part first, but the first thing and foremost is with an agent, or find an agent that you can trust and that can represent you to the fullest. Set up some kind of virtual consultation with that agent right now. So them getting a great understanding of what you're looking for in your home, when you want to move, what your plan is, why, your motivation in moving. And then them just being able to guide you through, okay, is now the best time to do that? Should you wait, or would it be best to wait? And just, yeah, doing that up front can be a huge bonus for you. So reach out to them. I mean, we're doing virtual stuff all the time now, and it's a great thing to still just inform you about the process, the steps along the way, what to expect, what you need to do in order to buy a home and whatnot. So the second step, and one of the most important ones, is obviously getting pre-approved. So Matt will talk a little bit, like I said, about the lending side of things here soon. But we want to make sure that you're getting pre-approved before you go out and look at a whole bunch of stuff. There's nothing like going and finding the home of your dreams and then finding out that you can't afford it or the monthly payment's too high. And so meeting with a lender to get pre-approved is very important, helps set those expectations up front too. And that way you're not just go looking at a whole bunch of homes without knowing if you can actually afford them or want to afford them as well. And so, as Matt will probably go over with you, most all that can be done electronically now, or has been able to as well. So applications can all be sent online. Most lenders, you can fill out applications online there, and then we just put kind of what you'll need, just some stuff. Some of that stuff you don't need right up front to get a pre-approval letter. But definitely helps to have as much of that information as you can up front on there. And like I said, Matt will talk more about that. But without a pre-approval, I mean, really, we can submit an offer, but it doesn't really do you any good. So we want to make sure we have a pre-approval letter before we even start looking, and 100% before we write an offer on there. So just a couple home buying myths that I get a lot of questions on. And so just wanted to put this slide in there. But the whole I need 20% down, people not thinking they have enough down payment or enough money to buy a home, that's a complete myth. I mean, most people don't even buy homes with 20% down nowadays. I mean, you can go down to as low as 0% down with some type of, or with some loan types, obviously with VA, and different loan programs like that are offered out there. But most all of them at 3%, depending on if you're a first-time home buyer, how many homes you bought, stuff like that. But 3.5% down, you can be buying a home with that amount. And then in rural areas, yeah, like places like Huxley, Slater, Kelly, a lot of the smaller towns around the larger cities, you can do rural loans, USDA loans that are 100% financing where you don't need any money down. So a lot of different options out there. And then the whole I need a 780 FICO score is also a huge myth, as they are, as Matt let me know the other day, which I didn't know, they are buckling down and kind of shrinking how low they can go with credit scores. It's definitely still not a 780. So you can go well below that, which Matt will hit on here too. So just some home buying myths there for you to take into consideration. So the next step, after you've been pre-approved, then the market search. So then after that, I mean, we're going to get all your criteria in the buyer consult, the virtual consultation that we're doing. And sorry if I don't know how to turn those off, so they're just going to ding. But I turned my phone off. I don't know why this notification still comes through. But anyway, so after we get a good idea of what you're looking for in your home, then we will set you up on a backstage pass to the MLS. So the MLS is where we put all the listings, all the realtors in the marketplace, put all the listings out there, and that's going to feed to you directly. So the second something hits the market, it's going to feed to you, and so you have real life information on there. So obviously there's Zillow, Realtor.com, all that kind of stuff you can still search on, but it's very pertinent information on the MLS because that's where we're all updating that on a regular basis, and our admin teams and our offices are all using that daily as well. So it's just more up-to-date information usually on that. And then once we know what you're looking for, especially in markets like now, we're doing a lot of back-end work and networking with other agents to try to find you something that's not even on the market yet. So whether we have a seller who's thinking about selling, but maybe wanting to hold off for a while, or we know of agents who are that we reach out to, and they have a seller who's like, yeah, well, they don't, or their sellers don't want to list their house until all this is over, but they might be okay with letting one person come through the house and take a look with a short-term listing agreement or something like that. And so we're trying to find off-market properties for you guys as well. And I'm just doing a lot of legwork there. And because right now, I think when we come out of this, as we'll talk about here in a little while, I think there's going to be a pretty short supply of homes. I mean, there's already a shortage going into this. If we have a lot of sellers who aren't wanting to list right now, it could cause even a more of a shortage coming out of this. And so we're trying to find, properties that are off market for you as well, and networking with other agents and anybody we have in our back pocket too, as well as the MLS and stuff. So that's the market search. Once you guys get a list of homes that you want to look at, typically what we have you do, just email us, or if we find something great, we'll email it to you. You let us know when you may want to take a look, when you can schedule some virtual tours. So in a normal day, we hop in the car and we go meet at the property, which there is still some of that going on right now, but if we can do things virtually, we might as well do that. And so whether it's through FaceTime or Zoom like we're doing now, or any other virtual video apps out there, which I don't even know what other ones are out there, but anyway, so we can hop on there. We just shoot the video. We'll do a property tour with you on site, answer questions. It's great to do those because we can look at mechanicals, we can look at the exterior a lot more. And then we can also do neighborhood tours as well. So we drive by, we can drive through the neighborhood with you guys on video. That way you can get a good sense of the community too, if you're moving from out of state or out of town. And then, so that's the virtual tours. And then the other thing with that too, some agents, including ourselves, I know we're doing a lot more of them now, is we're doing 3D virtual tours, which we're gonna release a nice blog about and a video about, and how you can do those here in the upcoming week. But so you can actually do virtual reality tours of homes now with Google Cardboard, VR glasses, or VR headsets all together. It's kind of crazy. But then you can also just do 3D tours when you're online. I know Zillow has them, and we can send you links to those. Our website has them and stuff like that too. So you can actually tour and walk through homes doing that as well. But it's always great to have an agent who's walking you through it as well. And that way they can answer questions and whatnot that you have about it, like they typically would in a typical property tour. So that's the virtual tours. After you find something that you absolutely love, the next step, and we've been doing this for ever since I've been in real estate and for quite a while now, but most everything is done electronically now anyway with the offer process. So once you once you find a home that you love and want to make an offer on it, we have a system called Dotloop, which is what we use. There's DocuSign, there's a lot of different ones out there. But anyway, so what that does is I can type up everything electronically through Dotloop on my end, sitting at home or in the office or wherever I'm at. And then anywhere that you guys can access email, you can pull these up, you can review the documents, we can talk over them over the phone or over Zoom, go through the terms of what the offer is going to be, all the different terms in the offer, and then we can actually submit that to you electronically for you to pull up and sign. And then then we can share that with the listing agents or the seller and whatnot, and get those submitted electronically that way too. Like I said, that's something that is not really new, but something still a lot of people that I meet with don't even know that we can do. So it's cool that we don't have to track down people all the time at all hours of the day to try to get signatures. We can just do it electronically now. So next up would be just the earnest money. So once you get an offer submitted, there's what they call earnest money. So earnest money is kind of like a deposit that shows, hey, Mr. Mrs. Seller, we're serious about buying this property. So we have some skin in the game with this money. And so it's usually $500, $1,000, $2,000, depending on the price of the home, or 1% to 2% of the offer price. But what that does is it's pretty much put some skin in the game there. And those now, a lot of times those are dropped off with an actual check. And so those are usually held by the listing broker. in their account, or sometimes an attorney's brokerage or attorney's trust account. But all that stuff, we have a program called trust funds now that actually was released this past year, I believe. And so it's an electronic earnest money program. So it actually helps us out greatly in times like now. So we just send you a link and you can actually submit your earnest money online now. You don't have to be dropping off checks necessarily. I'm sorry, spit. Or yeah, meeting people and taking stuff all over the place. You can do that online too, which is very cool setup. So yeah, that's after you have the offer accepted, is the earnest money part of that. And then, yeah, here's just a quick rundown. I won't go through all this right now, but I'm just making an offer. So after you make the offer, here's kind of the other terms or the offer terms that we'll discuss with you when we go through the offer. Us as your agent, obviously, we're going to do a comparative market analysis, just do some research or do a lot of research on the property, on the neighborhood, to come up with a price that we think the home is worth and that you should offer. At the end of the day, it's up to our buyers where they offer on the property, but we want to be, obviously that's my job as your agent, our team's job as your agents, is to provide you with the most knowledge about the market, about the homes being sold around it, to make the best informed decision on your offer price. Earnest money, which we already talked about, and then inspection period we'll go over, home warranty, seller disclosure, financing terms, so how much you're putting down, what kind of loan you're doing, or if you're doing cash, closing dates, and then closing costs are the other thing, which I think we have, maybe we don't, but seller paid closing costs. A lot of times we can ask sellers to pay the closing costs on the purchase, and because you're going to have loan costs and appraisals and stuff like that that are all wrapped in. So on top of your down payment, you also have closing costs that will be added on top of that. So a lot of times we can get the seller to offset those and pay for or give you a credit for those closing costs at closing. And then, yeah, other applicable addendums, whether it's if you're buying an association, HOA addendum, or septic addendums, or wells and stuff like that, are also part of that offer. So these are almost all the things we discuss when we get ready to write you an offer, or write an offer for you on your behalf there. So following up, hope I'm not losing any of you. We're almost through this, and we'll get to the fun stuff with the kind of the state of the market. But I always recommend definitely doing a home inspection when you're buying a home. So with home inspections, obviously you bring most all offers that we write are going to be contingent upon a home inspection, just meaning that you have the rights to bring a third-party home inspector into the property, inspect the large items, the mechanicals, the roof, the structure of the home, the electrical, plumbing, those items. Not really cosmetic. You're not looking for cosmetic stuff, but more of the large cost items. And so hiring a home inspector it's going to cost you a few $100s, $300-$400, but most of the time it's definitely well worth it. And if something goes wrong, you also have somebody to fall back on with that as well from a liability standpoint. But I mean, $300 to $400 can save you $30,000 easily by having a home inspection done. So once again, always the buyer's choice whether they do one or not. But we, as your agent, are always going to recommend to have one done. And so that comes after the offer is accepted, usually within 7 to 10 business days. How does that look now compared to normally? Mostly, a lot of times buyers, the agents, and then the home inspector are there. Usually there's 2 or 3 people there, sometimes just the buyer and the home inspector. Sometimes it is just the home inspector, but right now a lot of stuff is just being done with the home inspector on site. And they always put together a nice report. It's usually 20, 30, 40 pages, some 60, depending on the inspector you use. But they're going to go through, they're going to have that report. And then right now they can email that to you and you can go over it with them on the phone. And so you have limited contact there, which is still great to have. And then they also usually, with your permission, will send that to us, your agent, so that we can walk through it with you as well. Just note, that's not a code inspection. So if you're buying a home from the 50s, that has, I mean, you're not gonna, the inspections aren't meant to bring the house up to code. It's just to more so inform you of the issues that may be going on if there are major issues, and then being able to negotiate that with the seller to try to get some of that stuff remedied. Or if the house is falling apart, get you out of the purchase and get your money back, or get your earn his money back there. So. And then closings. So a lot of closings now are being a lot of remote closings. And so some lenders and attorneys actually have people who will travel around and can meet you at your home, or there's even some online notarization stuff going on now. I don't know from a lender standpoint if that's, Matt, you might be able to say, but I don't think that's probably hit yet. Can you do online lender closings yet, or?
For the most part, you can. There are some documents that do need to be signed as a wet signature, but for the most part, you can do it. And as long as you have somebody that you know that's a notary, you can even take care of that yourself. Just get a hold of the lender and they can approve that notary beforehand.
Nice. So yeah, so you can do that, or what a lot of times, like me as your agent, I'm going to go to the closing with you when you're buying a home, and usually you have the lender and attorney, me as your agent, and then I don't know, whoever, sometimes people bring their moms or their significant other. If they're on the loan, they got to do that. But otherwise, but right now it's just a lot of pretty much the people that need to sign, and then either the lender or the attorney. So usually there's only 2 or 3 people in the room at one time right now. And I usually just hang out outside my car and wait for the closing to get done. That way I can still congratulate them and whatnot there. But so yeah, closings are still happening, whether they're done remotely, online, or yeah, just with as much limited contact as possible. Probably rambled way too much on the closing part of that, but that's right. And then yeah, after that, home sweet home. So get your keys and welcome home. And it's so really, I mean, there's been definitely a lot of changes, but a lot of the stuff has kind of been set up that we can, the way we've been doing it for a while, that there's still a lot of stuff can still be done as normal, which is still pretty cool. That's where technology is now, and that we can still be in this place and without having to change a whole lot. So yeah, that's kind of going back. That's going to be kind of the rundown of the process, what we're looking at for the process right now, and how it looks now compared to what it typically looks like. But now we'll kind of get into the market, state of the market now, and what we're seeing now since the whole social distancing thing, since the virus started. We have a lot of questions. What does this mean for the economy? What does this mean for home prices? Are we heading towards another 2008? And I mean, all the economic and economists that we listen to, and that KCM is a big one, and Inman is another big one. They're big in the real estate marketplace, but all of them and all the people they have and all the economists they use are all, I mean, they're in this deep on the research they're doing and whatnot. But the one big question is, is a recession, does a recession, or what we're in right now, does that equal a housing crisis? And the answer is no. So actually, it says 3 of the last 5 recessions actually had increase in home values and appreciation during that time. And right now we're in such a place, which we'll get to here shortly too, that actually I'm not going to go over it yet. But anyway, so yes, a recession does not mean a housing crisis. Back then it was a whole different scenario where we were there, and a lot of other stuff going on. And even in 91, so one of the other 5 recessions that home values did drop and depreciate was actually in 1991. It only went down 1.9%, so not much at all on that. The other ones, they all increased, except for 2008, which we all know was a huge hit to the housing market, but no one sees that in the future coming like it did then. Obviously, things can change in the tick of a switch, flip of a switch. But anyway, so the flip of a switch. But as of right now, they don't see that happening. Hopefully we all are in good terms there. But no, this is what I was getting at the other day, or earlier today. Now I'm just starting to ramble. But before we went into this virus and the social distancing thing, we were actually at a pretty low supply of homes. So we've been hovering around 3,500, 3,800 homes on the market for a while. And I mean, it's got down to under 3,000 last year and a couple of years ago. But Before that, I mean, there was close to 6,000 homes on the market at one time. And so where we're at now, we're actually still at a short supply of homes, and the demand has been still fairly high. And so, as it says, we're actually underbuilt going into this. So what I believe, and if you talk to a lot of other people, a lot of other agents and the people that we listen to, they believe that, so right now, a lot less people are actually putting their homes on the market. So we're already at a short supply. A lot of people are not putting their homes on the market because of where we're at. They don't want people walking through their houses, et cetera, et cetera. So then that's only going to keep coming down, as you'll see in the slide that I have coming up here soon. People are still buying. So when we come out of this, we're actually going to be at a shorter supply. And I believe that the demand is still going to be fairly high, depending on the job losses and stuff like that, and the bounce back from that and how long this goes. But if the demand is still there where it was before, we're going to have less homes on the market, supply and demand. Learned that Econ 101 back in the day. But so low supply, high demand, obviously that's going to cause, prices to stay pretty steady and probably even increase from a home sale standpoint. So that's kind of where they're at. That's where they're looking at coming out of this thing. Obviously, it is a challenging time for a lot of people, and it's unfortunate the amount of people that have lost jobs or been laid off, but let's hope that's over sooner than later and can make its way to not have that big of a negative impact on our economy. And then just this just goes over some statistics of actually when you buy a house, you can actually help the economy recover. Just the amount of people that go into a real estate transaction and all the people that actually bank on people that are buying houses to generate the economy. So these are just some statistics from that as well. And then, it almost doubles. So the impact you have almost doubles when you buy new construction, just because you're helping with, all those laborers that are putting the time and are getting paid to build the new construction homes. Obviously, if that market dips down a lot, there's a lot of people that are affected by that. So buying new construction can actually help even boost the economy even more on that. The average economic impact of one home sale by each state, Iowa is 56,000 is just the economic impact of a home sale in there. So when this whole thing started, actually, Governor Reynolds sent a letter to I think it was the recorder's office. And the letter actually stated in there that we got this from another agent who shared it with us. But it actually said in there that how important the real estate industry was to Iowa's economy, and that they had to stay open and they had to find ways to stay open and get closings pretty much done and things recorded. Because if the real estate industry shuts down and home sales stop in Iowa, it can have a long-term detrimental impact on Iowa's economy. So that was actually pretty cool to see her send that or have that letter sent to them, and just her belief and people's belief that real estate and home sales and commercial sales and just real estate sales in general make a huge impact in the economy in the state. All right, I'm almost done, and then Matt's going to start talking. And I'm going to talk again. But so local market update. These are crazy statistics to me. So, well, one, we're almost like a month into the social distancing thing, and I'm about to go nuts. I don't know about you guys, but we'll make it. Hopefully we're almost there. But local market update. When this says Des Moines, this is our Des Moines MLS, so the multiple listing service. So the Des Moines MLS covers a lot of central Iowa. So Ames has its own MLS, but Des Moines has the most most coverage, and so it's just better numbers to go off of, I think. So as of today, which I think was yesterday, because this is when we prepped this, there was over 3,500 active listings on the market. So I can already hit on that. 3,516 active listings today, which once again is not a ton. Listed since the social distancing thing started. So we have 857 homes or properties that have been listed since March 16th. 24 days? 25 days ago. All right, 25 days. Under contract, 982. So 125 more homes have gone under contract. So people have accepted offers on 125 more homes than what has been listed. If you remember, I was talking about having a shortage of supply going into this thing, and now we have 125 more pending. So our number actually drops there. And so once that just goes back to the whole shortage of supply. Checking my math.
No, I was just checking how many it was a day.
Oh, good.
34 a day.
34 a day. So 34 new listings a day since then, which is crazy in this time. But anyway, so yeah, we're still listing homes. People are still buying homes. Obviously, like we talked about before, there are extreme cautions we're taking, and we're not oblivious that things have changed because stuff has definitely changed. We're just trying to change with it and be safe as we can. Because then, yeah, you look at cancel, you have 159 canceled listings since that time. So there are definitely sellers out there who don't feel comfortable with people walking through their home right now and just decide to cancel the listing for the meantime or take it off the market until this is through, which we definitely understand that too. And on the flip side of that, we also understand that buying a home right now might not be the best idea for some people, and it might not be the best idea for you at this time. But what Matt's going to cover here going into this is just how you can position yourself when you get out of this from a lending standpoint, a financial standpoint, to hit the ground running after this is through. So then, yeah, just team update. We've had 8 new pretty much 10 offers we've written, 4 new listings, and 3 more coming on the market since March 16th as well. So, all right, it's enough of me. You ready, Matt?
I think I am.
All right, sounds good. So, yeah, once again, Matthew Carmody, Land Home Financial. Matt and I have got to know each other pretty well over the last probably 3 years, 4 years probably now. But anyway, yeah, great guy. Does a lot with helping people with their credit and just being able to increase their credit scores, getting them into a position financially to purchase homes, and then a lot of self-employed people as well. He's very good with self-employed people as well, and just all buyers. But so he'll kind of start with his stuff. Here's his contact information if you want to screenshot that. Or yeah, just remember Matthew Carmody, Land Home Financial. Look him up on social media, on Google, Facebook, wherever else you want to. But all right, so I'll let Matt take the floor now.
So to answer the questions you're seeing on the screen here, if you're in the middle of a deal, will your loan still close? Assuming you still have the income stream that you did before, yes, you should be able to. Even FHA, they've changed their minimum credit score. But if it was originated prior to them making that change, they will still honor the deal. Appraisals are still happening. You might have a little bit slower appraisal than before. They're a little bit behind on schedule, but still the same basic appraisal standards are handled right now. If you lose your job, there's not a lot that the lender can do for you. This would be different for self-employed people, even if they're technically still not working on a said job they were working on, but they're still self-employed. It's one of the few times that it would actually be better for a self-employed person than somebody that's employed by others that was laid off. If you do have a return to work date, we can always handle that transaction based on the fact that you're returning to work. If we get a letter from your employer, we can do it as a post-closing requirement, which basically means after you close on that home, we would just have to obtain a pay stub once you are back to work. So there are workarounds on that, but if you don't have a definite date that you're going back to work, then we just have to kind of wait and see. So it is possible that it may not close. However, there are some circumstances that we can get around it, and we'll try and work around that as well as we can. Closings right now, it's a little bit longer, and that's just due to appraisers being behind. There's also closing attorneys that are backed up. Title work is taking a significant amount of time longer, and typically you're looking at anywhere from 40 to 45 days. There are some that we've been able to get done in 30 days, but that again all depends on third parties. Ethan, I can't read the side of that one. If I'm temporarily on unemployment, but we already went over that. Closing day, again, Ethan went over that a little bit. We can do a closing as a electronic closing with the exception of a few signatures that you may have to get from a notary. Again, if you do know a notary and you're comfortable with them being in your home versus the closing attorney, we can get them approved beforehand. It may want to be something that you bring up right at the beginning of the transaction. And if you bring that up at the beginning of the transaction, typically it will handle it seamless. Your stimulus money is part of the down payment? Absolutely. Anybody can use unemployment payment, anything that you get as a check from a government, you can use as down payment. Are there special programs as part of the stimulus? No. There's really nothing besides forbearance. And if any of you have read up on that, it's really not the greatest deal. If you skip a month's payment, you owe it the next month that you actually start payment again, plus that other month's payment. You're better off if you know when you're getting back to work to make that payment and then try to refinance later. Or if you are looking at buying a home, there's really not a whole heck of a lot that's changing. In fact, they tightened down regulation a little bit more as far as credit score and debt to income ratio, which just means the amount of bills that you have per month versus what your income is. And there's a couple things that we probably need to go over as far as what has changed. Credit scores are now up to 680 for some lenders. They can't take anything below that. Others are all the way down to 620. You used to be able to go all the way down to 580. And with the 580 scores, that deal isn't happening anymore. So you may want to take a look at what you're doing tactically for this time being and try and get your credit score up if it's not at that 620 or 680 mark, depending on the lender that you're using. The only way you can do that is by running a credit analyzer. There's several third parties that are going to have those tools available, and until you get that printout, you really don't know what's happening with your score. Somebody can tell you off the hip that you're going to go to this amount, but until you run that and it actually goes through the algorithm of the credit bureaus, you never actually know. The other thing is that they have changed debt to income ratios to be below 50%. Used to be able to go up to 56.99. For most people, that's not an issue. For most people, they're below 50 anyway. But if you do have a home that you're buying and let's say you're only using one person's income, that may be an issue. So you may want to get an application in sooner rather than later so you can see if you can get pre-approved based off of the new regulation and new guidelines that we have. As far as what rates look like today, they look really enticing. They're the lowest that they've ever been. The Fed is helping out with that. They're trying to provide as much stimulus as they possibly can, buying up bonds so that it drives down rates. So you couldn't ask for a better time with rates. Whether or not you qualify at that rate may be a different thing, but it's a very, very opportune time for that. Right now, it's somewhat difficult if you're on the lower end for credit score to get pre-approved, but overall it's not very difficult to get pre-approved. There's only one pre-approval that I haven't been able to put out over the last month. And so that's based off of, gosh, I think 75 applications. So it's a pretty low percentage. So the answer to that is it's still pretty easy to get pre-approved.
Perfect. Would you mind sharing, we were talking yesterday about the self-employed tax return with them extending tax returns for until July 15th. Can you go through that, what you brought up about that for self-employed?
The nice thing about that is that you can always hand in a profit and loss and we can still use your taxes from the last year, but you still don't know taxes for this year. So we don't have to show proof of payment. You don't have to have a tax payment plan if you didn't have the payment for that's taxes that were owed, as well as you don't have to file an extension. So we don't even have to get a copy of an extension right now. So it's about as close as you can get to a self-employed get out of jail free card.
Yeah. Nice. We don't get those very often.
No.
But, well, good. Yeah, like I said, yeah, thanks, Matt, for joining, going through that. We have the chat open on here and then on the live, Facebook Live. So if you have any questions, just poke them in there and then we will answer them at the end here. Otherwise, I think we're going to, this video should be available after this as well. And we can email you a copy of it, email you the slides as well, and email you our contact info. So just shoot us a message, DM, or post in the comments and we can get you that information over to you. But so that's the lending side of things. And then, yeah, so just how to keep your dream of homeownership alive during this time is just kind of a big question on when and if you're going to be able to buy a home, if you can, how you can, and whatnot. And so just what you can do, like we said earlier, we know that right now may not always be the best, it might not be the best time for everyone to buy a home, but you might be thinking later on this year or next year even. And so coming out of this, just checking your credit. There's free credit score apps or things out there that you can check those. Obviously, don't do that too much because it dings your credit. But just knowing that if you do have interest in buying a home, reaching out to someone like Matt or a lender who can pull your credit, figure out, okay, what can we do to actually get your credit score up to qualify you in 3 to 4 months or 6 months or a month. I know there's times that Matt's helps clients of mine get their credit up and he can get it up right away. Obviously it has to report and whatnot, but just in days, he can get them to where they need to be. And so it's pretty amazing if you have someone that's on your side that can help you, how fast they can make those changes and just little tweaks, and that don't even cost you really any money or barely any money to do. And so I know there's been times where it's been like, oh, you pay off $50 on this credit card and all of a sudden your credit score goes up enough to qualify you for a loan. So that's just something you can be doing now. Obviously continue to save. Obviously that's easier said than done if you don't have a job currently and whatnot, but just taking advantage of not being able to go out. So I know we're still trying to support small businesses and whatnot as much as we can, but I'm not driving as much, so I'm not spending as much gas money. Not going to Casey's as much either, so that's good. And then I'm not eating out for lunch every day either. So just continue to save for that. And then virtually connect with an agent. So like with us, there's clients I've talked to a year, 2 years in advance before they even buy a home. So just really understanding the process, understanding what you need to be doing now is a huge thing. So just connect with the agent virtually, reach out to us. We can do Zoom calls, just on the phone, FaceTime, anything like that. And then just be doing your research and knowing what the market's like, what the market's doing, what are interest rates like. That's all stuff we can help you do as well. View listings online. Obviously, a lot of people will use Zillow, Realtor.com, all those kind of websites out there as well. But you can be watching those well in advance, and most people do. I think the statistics are people will be online like 12 months. I think like up to a year before they actually or think they're ready to buy a home. They'll be looking at stuff online. And so that's something you can be doing. Just get a good feel for the marketplace that you're looking to make a move in. And then once again, getting pre-approved is huge. Just that way you can be ready to rock and roll once this is said and done and once you're in a position to do that. So just kind of what you can do now to prepare for later. And then that wraps up our virtual home buying seminar. So hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. You got something out of it. Like we said, definitely shoot us a message. DM us, contact info, I think is on the next page. So let me move this. I can minimize that. So here's our contact info, and Matt's was on the screen earlier. If you need Matt's info, you can always reach out to me as well. But otherwise, hopefully you got something from this. Hopefully you guys are all staying safe and healthy, staying apart from others as much as possible. And like I said, we are taking extreme caution on how we're doing business now. But we are lucky enough to be continuing to sell homes and get people into their new homes and not making them homeless, which is huge. And so we are, sorry, I'm pulling this up. So very grateful for all of you that tuned in today. You can also, I believe you'll be able to share this with friends, family who couldn't make it. If you want to schedule a virtual call, you can call or text my number here, call or email me, or you can just check out our website as well. You can schedule appointments on there as well. Obviously it's easier just to call, text, or email. And then Jamie has been doing a fantastic job on our blogs. So she's written a lot of blogs, not just about real estate, but about just what's going on out there in the world. And different stimulus packages, keeping up to date on all that stuff. And so it's a great resource. So you can check out all of our blogs there. And otherwise, yeah, let us know if you have any additional questions, and whether now or later is the good time or your time to buy a home. We'd love to have that chance to talk with you and help you with that process and guide you through there.